We're going to spend a lot of time between now and spring on how you can handle all those acres that you did not get worked this fall or just didn't get handled the way you want to. Maybe you did get some tillage done, didn't get it all done. Well, today we're especially going to talk about those acres where you got absolutely nothing done. You don't know what to do, so you're thinking, well, maybe I should go no-till. Yes, that is a good option in a lot of cases, but there are also some watch-outs out there too.
Well, the big thing with that residue, you can't go back and change things. You didn't get it spread right, but what you can do is change your row cleaners in front of your planter.
Well,
be a little bit more aggressive. Try and move some stuff out of the way.
You can, but we've tried that on our farm, and the trouble is you've got so much residue, you don't do a proper job, and even if you move it, it's possibly going to blow back in. You're still going to have those issues. We've gone through that enough times on our farm.
Plus planting depth gets to be an issue when you've got unevenness out there with the residue.
Right, so exactly. The residue is the biggest issue that you've got in no-till. You've got to have tremendous equipment in the spring, otherwise you're going to have a problem.
Okay, now let's say you got the residue spread even, you still have cold soils. That's another huge challenge that a lot of guys aren't used to dealing with. They're used to black soil and warm. What do you do in cold soil? It's so different.
Now I got a great story to illustrate the difference between no-till and conventional till here. Back when I was in college, I was pretty dumb and I went skydiving.
I wouldn't say dumb. I'd just say a little bit on the crazy
adventurous,
side.
Yeah. So anyway, I went skydiving a couple of times. And anyway, the very first jump that I had, it was early afternoon, late April, about 70 degrees. So for our area of the country, it was a really nice day. And it was kind of warm for that time in the spring. Anyway, my point is, I made my jump, I was down and everything, I was safe. The next guy was a friend of mine. He jumped out and parachute opened fine, everything was fine, and he started coming down, and I just said, boy, it's taking him an awful long time to get down. And about 5 minutes later, he still wasn't down yet. And I said to the guys, what is going on? And they said, okay, here, watch this. So they talked to him on the headset and told him to turn his parachute so he got over a pasture. See, the problem was he was over a plowed field, and that plowed field was radiating so much heat. There was actual heat coming out of the ground and making a huge difference. It was holding him up in the air. As soon as he got over the pasture, he came right down. So it's the same kind of deal every year when we start talking about late frost. So let's say you're from the state of North Dakota and you have to deal with a late spring frost on a regular basis. If you have no-till side by side with conventional till, your conventional till field may be saved from the frost, your no-till field might not be. So you have to hope and pray that this year you don't have that problem.
Okay, we talked about residue just a little bit, but the number one problem guys are running into is hairpinning of residue. It's just too wet. You can't cut through it cleanly.
Yep, well, we had that problem on our farm. When we first tried no-tilling probably 15 years ago, we used a single coulter in front of the row, and that just wasn't very good. It didn't cut the stalks real well. Then we went to using 3 coulters out in front of the row. We did a much better job, but even so, hairpinning of residue is definitely an issue.
One thing that's also helped is getting to a larger diameter blade. If you get a coulter that's a lot wider, it's more surface area to run over that material. You've got a better chance of getting it cut. And some guys are just running 2 coulters side by side, and that seems to do a decent job too, but it's still not perfect.
Yeah, if you're really worried about this, there are a lot of people going out using a Salford RTS machine, for example. We've used one a couple times on our farm. We're going to do a lot more of that this spring because we have quite a few acres that we've got an issue with. The other thing, I was just talking to the Salford people the other day. You know what they're doing? They're going out in frozen ground. I'm not kidding. They're going slow. They said, oh yeah, it'll work if you go 4 miles an hour and you maybe have the wheels down a little bit so you don't have all the weight on the coulters and you run the thing level. I said, isn't that awfully hard on equipment? And they said, well, not if you go real slow. Go about 4 miles an hour and you should be okay. So we're going to try just a little bit of that.
See, now Brian talked about that skydiving, and he said that he was crazy, and yeah, he still is.
Yeah, but let's say you're desperate. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that have lots of acres that didn't get worked, and they need to do something with it. We're going to try just a little bit on our farm, and so we'll tell you about our experience.
We'll see how crazy Brian is.
On lightly frozen ground, let's say early March or something like that.
Well, one answer to having no fall tillage done on your farm is definitely that you could go no-till. There's some certain challenges you have to watch out with, and hopefully you'll have pretty good luck.
And another thing you have to be concerned about when you can't do tillage is you might see more of our Weed of the Week. We'll talk about it coming up next.